I would let Selma Hayek put her foot in my mouth and put champagne in my mouth, even if the bottoms of her foot were black. Go for it. Okay, I would enjoy it. And then I would shoot my shot and get shot down. But at least I had your black ass foot in my mouth. You dig? It's the most wonderful time of the year. And I ain't talking about Christmas, goddammit. I'm talking about October, Halloween time, the fall time. Even though I live here in Florida, there's no fall. It's just hot or a little bit cold. But I love October. I love this time of year. The leaves are changing, and we have an abundance of horror movies to watch and enjoy with friends and family and Halloween candy and all that shit. And I get to share one of my favorites with a good friend of mine, well, a YouTube friend of mine. Never actually met him in person, but my man David from Interpreting the Stars is joining me today to talk about From Dusk Till Dawn. And well, you know what? This is a horror movie, kind of. This is a caper movie, an action movie, a horror movie, and a Tarantino-esque movie. I think Tarantino should have his own subgenre because back then, after Pulp Fiction, everybody was kind of copying that style, and this movie was no exception. So this is before the bat nipples. Okay, this is before George Clooney became lame. Okay, this is when George Clooney was actually cool and he was badass in this movie. And Tarantino plays his brother, the psychotic, what was his name? Richie. All right, crazy. Directed by Robert Rodriguez. This is one of many collabs. Well, I don't know how many collabs, but one of some collabs between Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. And I love this movie. But you know what? I got a guest in the building. I'm not going to be rude. So, David, bring us up to speed with From Dusk Till Dawn. Give us your thoughts about it, what the movie's about. The floor is yours, homie.
Hello, doors open. Nope. What's up? It's Dave from Interpreting the Stars, and Rashad has asked me to join him for, I feel like it's the first time over on his channel, to discuss that classic horror joint, From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn is essentially about a couple of criminals attempting to cross the country border, flee to Mexico, and meet up at a rendezvous point with a friend of theirs. But once they realize that the rendezvous point is full of bloodthirsty vampires, their night takes a bit of a turn. First of all, thank you to Rashad for having me on your channel today. He and I have had a few collabs over on my channel as well, including that of the Indiana Jones series, as well as a few MCU films that I'm currently going through. So it's pretty cool to see this side of the world. I like it here. Wait, no, this is my background. That's better. Woo! So now I get to ask you, Rashad, how's the dill pickles? Is everything kosher? So, From Dusk Till Dawn is, of course, a film that I've heard about before today, and I want to say I saw before. I'm not entirely sure because the only thing that I actually remembered about it was the third act with the vampire bar, and I feel like that's a spoiler. I feel like I shouldn't talk about it, but it's literally the synopsis on IMDb, and it's partially the tagline as well, but it doesn't even happen until the third act. The end of the movie. The main plot is really just these people trying to get into Mexico to await their next step, which granted is boring. The only reason that part is kind of exciting is because Quentin Tarantino plays this absolutely unstable character who kills on the whim. So before people start getting killed off one by one later on in the film, they're still getting killed off one by one on the way to the bar. So at least it has that consistency. And the bit at the end, that's some ridiculous balls to the walls insanity, and I love every second of it. These vampires are taking a page out of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in what they look like. They are brutal. The kills in the movie are unpredictable in the same way they're kind of unpredictable in Game of Thrones at times. Nobody's safe, and I appreciate that about this movie. It's also awesome to see George Clooney in a much darker, bad guy-esque role. I do have a problem with the pacing of the narrative, though, because it seems strange for vampires to show up when they do. Again, it plays out like a twist ending, but according to nearly everybody and everything else on the internet, it's the point of the movie. It's the main plot. Look, the main plot cannot be introduced an hour in. That makes no sense. By doing that, the main plot of getting to that rendezvous point seems to be disregarded. So that hour setup seems to go absolutely nowhere. And then, given how this is only the end of the movie, it seems to not have enough time for an actual plot. It's like, first, an hour of character development to establish these people and their skills, and then introduce the plot where these people will use said skills. Or something. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't love the pacing. But honestly, that's really the only negative that I have to say about it. It's still a unique film, especially when it comes down to vampires. I can't really say that I've ever seen anything like it since, either. It's an awesome movie if you just want to have a fun time with it. But if you're like me and you start picking apart narrative issues, I feel like its pacing is just strange. But that's it. Let's go ahead and take a look at my final score from a technical, unbiased perspective. I think that this film is pretty good in terms of costume and makeup, even though it looks tacky as all Hades. I'll always prefer that practical, real look as opposed to CGI, so some gore when it comes to that is also pretty cool looking as well. Some of the editing with the action is a lot of fun, and the dark humor sprinkled in throughout the film is great. I think it's definitely a solid film overall, but that pacing does knock down my score a bit to 74%. As for how I personally feel about the film, or what I call my bias score, again, I had a fun time with it. It's great to just have dumb fun with, but the introduction for the story, that just takes forever to get to this bar, and then that story is mostly ignored. That's annoying. So I can understand why maybe I didn't remember that part of the movie when I first saw it. This score is 78%. When we combine the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 76%, 76 out of 100 possible stars, or a B letter grade on my letter grading system. Thanks to Rashad for inviting me over to your place of review. I'll go back to mine, and I'll hand it back over to you to finish out your thoughts on From Dusk Till Dawn. Peace out!
Yeah, so I like how you use my pickle line against me, all right? It's, what's the deal, Pickles? Is everything kosher? All right, you gotta put some soul into that motherfucker, all right? What's the deal, Pickles? Is everything kosher? All right? Ain't gonna be no bananas in the tailpipe, if you remember that line. All right, so yeah, we mostly agree on this movie here, but one thing I will disagree on, because you said the movie really doesn't get good until the vampire stuff happens, which is like the last act of the movie, and that is the best part of the movie. But because I love the characters, you know, George Clooney and Tarantino, because I loved their dynamic, their relationship, and George Clooney, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this because this is the same guy that ruined Batman, but George Clooney really carried this movie. He did a great fucking job in this movie. He did his thing. He was badass. He was cool. Even though technically they're bad guys, they're villains, but you rooted for them. You know, well, I rooted for him. I wanted Tarantino to die, but I rooted for him, though. I thought he was so great in this movie. And also, you know, the thing with Harvey Keitel and Juliette Lewis and, you know, that whole family thing, kind of could have did without some of the backstory of it. I mean, some of the backstory wasn't needed, but I guess it was kind of necessary because of what happens later on. But yeah, the vampire stuff was the best, but I liked everything leading up to that because Quentin has such great writing. I could watch a 4-hour Quentin Tarantino movie of just two people in a room just talking back and forth. That's how great his writing is. That's how great his dialogue is. But yeah, I think some stuff was kind of unnecessary. You know, some of the exposition, some of the backstory and shit, you know, we kind of didn't need that. But like I said, it just made that last act even better. And because this film is so unconventional, it's so unorthodox, that's why I think I dug it so much. And I also learned something else while watching this movie, y'all. I just did a review for this movie called Lamb. And to those that haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it. But Lamb, to me, was a bad film. My money does not come easy. I work hard for my money. So when I pay money for a ticket to go see a movie, I want to be entertained. I want to walk away feeling something. And I walked away from Lamb feeling disturbed and cheated. All right. But when I put my video out there, people was coming after me like, Rashad, you don't understand art. You're so simple-minded. You're so, you know, you just don't understand great filmmaking. You know, see things for more than just action and blockbuster. You know, see it for the true deep meaning for what it is, metaphorically speaking. Kiss my ass. No. No, 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 no. Call me superficial, call me simple-minded. I guess I am. But let me tell you something. This is the type of movie, From Dusk Till Dawn, this is a type of movie that I will pay my hard-earned money for because I was entertained, I laughed, I was thrilled, I was shocked, grossed out at times, okay, when the vampire stuff happened. Yo, when my man got his head taken off and he transformed into this rat, and it was a practical effect. I was just moving like the rat, but it was a practical effect, and it worked. You know, like there was a lot. I mean, there was some CG in here, you know, during the first stages of CG, but there was a lot of practical effects in this movie, and they all worked. I bought it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody. Harvey Keitel, George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino, Fred the Hammer Williamson is in this movie. Tom Savini, who I believe did the makeup, and he also played Sex Machine. You know, he had the gun that was like the shaft and the balls. He had the gun and shit. You know, this is what I would pay $9 for. Not some artsy piece of shit about a hybrid lamb raised by two farmers. Kiss my ass. And that's it, and that's all. So yeah, man. I think you gave this movie what, a 7.6. I think you gave it. I'll give this movie an 8. It gets an A in my book. Not a perfect film. Not, I'm gonna say, one of the best films ever made. But this is what you go to the movies for. And this is such a different vampire film, even though my two favorite vampire movies will still be The Lost Boys and Fright Night, but I'll put this up there with it. The only reason I really can't say it's the best vampire movie because it's not a full vampire movie. You know, the vampires don't come until the last act. But I say it has some of the best vampire action. These vamps didn't play. Danny Trejo, shout out to him. Danny Trejo was in this. He's the vampire with the traps on top of traps on top of traps. These vampires were scary. They were vicious. They didn't play. And Salma Hayek dancing with the snake on her shoulder. Come on, man. But this also proves Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish. Okay, this proves that Quentin Tarantino has a foot fetish because every movie that he's in, either he has to focus on the feet, he writes something that has to do with feet. And she stuck her foot in his mouth and poured champagne down that motherfucker. And all I could say was I was jealous. Okay, I would let Salma Hayek put her foot in my mouth and put champagne in my mouth, even if the bottoms of her foot were black. Go for it. Okay, I would enjoy it. And then I would shoot my shot and get shot down. But at least I had your black ass foot in my mouth. You dig? So anyways, From Dusk Till Dawn gets an A. Alright, if you haven't seen it in a while, watch it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Okay, this is Halloween time. This is Halloween month. Watch From Dusk Till Dawn. You will enjoy it. That's it and that's all. David, thank you for joining me in this video. By the way, subscribe to the channel Interpreting the Stars. The link is in the description. Thank you, my brother, once again for joining me. Looking forward to the next collaboration. And comment freely below. Let me know what you thought about it. If you like and dig this content, hit that like and subscribe notification bell in the corner. This is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.